Non-metallic metal is metal without the metal. A little bit like this. Okay, so funny intro aside, hopefully funny. Non-metallic metal is a relatively advanced technique, and we're going to take a kind of beginner's look at it. There's loads of additional things you could do that we don't do in this video, and we're looking at a fairly stylized version of a power sword rather than like some ornate golden armor or, you know, chainmail or just flat plate on a field with like light reflections and grass and things like that coming at you. In this video, I'm going to show you the 5 fairly basic steps that you'll need to go through to create a great non-metallic metal style finish. There's even a bonus step at the very end for people that stay to the end of the video, so you might want to hang around to check that out. Let's get to it. So as with all techniques that require a blend or transition of some description, the first thing you want to do is prep your palette. So step 1, get everything ready and get your base coats down. I'm using some Thramar Black from P3, some Sotek Green from GW, and some Morrow White from P3. You can use any good white for this technique. Once that's done, take some of that Sotek Green, mix it in with the black to get us a nice dark base coat. And you can see the progression that we're going to go through. We've just added black to that Sotek Green to give us a guide for that. We're taking that darker color, then we're hitting our base coats. Make sure you just do enough thin coats to get a solid layer of that color with no visible brush strokes. So once we've got all our base coats down, it's time to start working on step 2, which is working towards the midtone. On this step, we start going through our progression of the black and Sotek Green mix up to just pure Sotek Green. So it's going to take 3 or 4 passes with this. Take your time, work slowly, work through the layers nice and cleanly. And you'll see that I've taken the blade and I've kind of divided it into 4 uneven sections. We want the point on the front of the miniature to be quite bright, then we've got a space where it isn't. And you can see how they match up along the other side. So we've got that alternating back and forth pattern with this. Keep building up nice thin layers. You don't need to work to a glaze, and importantly though, keep your brush strokes moving towards the point of most impact. So here you'll see me working both from the right to the middle and then the left to the middle, and you want to keep that going throughout. Obviously towards the point you've only got one direction to go in, but here again start building that in from both sides to ensure the middle area is the brightest spot. Once you've got all of this up to Sotek Green, it's time to start step 3, which is working up to the highlight. Now we've just worked up to our midtone, which is of course that Sotek Green. Now we're working up to our highlight, so prep your palette ready for that. Make sure you've got a solid blend of all of those colours going from pure Sotek Green up to a very nearly pure white. So just get that white, add a little bit at a time, blend that across and then keep going. Make sure you're getting that set of different hues, because we're going to go through this progression of paint that we're putting down on our palette now on the miniature. And the reason you want to do this up front and get that progression, that path, is A, it's going to help you see how many different stages of highlight you'll need to do over this area. So in this case, obviously the blade. Secondly, it's going to give you room for error. So if you go a little bit too far with one of those highlights later on, you've already got the color on your palette to go back and correct it. So just get into the habit of doing this. Both of those 2 things that I've just mentioned are great reasons for using this technique when doing any blend, any transition. Then start on the model to put in smaller and smaller areas. Work, again, like we did before, towards the middle of each piece. So start at the left and work to the middle, then go to the right and work to the middle for each of your transitions. If you make a mistake, just try and rub that out with your finger if you can, or you can go back and use some of that previous coats of paint that you've already got in your palette ready to fix and solve those mistakes. Keep building this up until you get to your brightest highlight color. Now, if you're enjoying this video, why not press the like button? Why not give it that cheeky thumbs up? You could even hit the subscribe button and the bell button. We do 2 videos every week on YouTube. Sometimes they're short form content like this, sometimes they're longer form guides. You can also tune in on twitch.tv/Mohawk Miniatures 4 days a week, where you can catch me live in action, ask any questions that you might have about these techniques that you've seen in this video, or about other painting techniques that you'd like to know a bit more about. And if you really want to help support the stream, I have got a Patreon. You can go there and get video tuition, you can get written guides, and every now and again, we even open up additional slots for one-to-one painting tuition as well. So check all those things out. Back to this, so you can see we're very nearly at the point of that brightest white. And here, you want to start building kind of a set of arches into your paint. So as you're getting closer into the middle, it's kind of feathering out towards the top and towards the bottom of the blade. Keep those edges nice and sharp and just work this up slowly until you feel that you've got to a point where you can carry on and move to the next step, which is going to be bringing everything together. So step 4 is we glaze for smoothness. We're going to use some of that Sotek green. We're going to thin it down with water. You can see just how thin we're getting it to here. And then we're going to use a very small amount of paint on our brush. Look at how much I'm wringing out there to just tint the surface. Now, I like to use my thumbnail as a guide to ensure I've got my paint to the right consistency. Once you're happy with it, start getting it onto the weapon itself. So here we're working towards the dark area. So just like we were a minute ago, but this time we're going towards the darkness rather than towards the light. And you just keep doing this step until you feel that your blends have started to smooth out enough. This will help to bring everything together, ready for step 5, our final highlight. We're taking our white paint, we're just putting this in the middle of all of those reflective sections, as well as right at the very edge to give this a nice snap finish. Now this looks brilliant. You could use this technique on anything else if you wanted to, of a similar non-metallic metal fashion. Obviously just change your color palette for golds, coppers, different versions of steel, and so on. However, if you want to take this just one step further, there's one other thing you can do, which I did talk about at the start of the video. Let's get to that now. Here's the bonus one, adding some battle damage to the blade. This is a blade we want to have seen in action. Every time this lady goes into a fight, she's slaying the foes of the Emperor, and we want to show that in the blade. This also cheekily helps to just eliminate some of the issues you may have had with your blends. So it's a nice way to help to just correct some of those. Take some white paint, thin it right down, and just with very careful, very precise brush strokes on the miniature, just add in a couple of little spots of battle damage. That's it. That's literally it. And you can see what an effect it has on the blade. Let's get the rest of it painted. I'll leave you with some cool looking shots of this blade ready for the outro. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the streams or the next video. Peace out. So at the bottom end on the reverse side, we have the, damn it, we're also hitting the edges around that area to really snap the focus into those edges. Damn it! So we're ready now to start bringing it all together. I've just said that. 2 is getting our work. Now it's time for step 2, work to the highlight. No, step 3. Work from the darker part to the lighter part, and then add in some smaller. Hey, dude, you having your lunch now?
You recording?
Literally as we speak.
Oh.